Hey everybody, it's that time, it's that time. Right. Hey. I'll get started as I always do at 5:03 to give people time to come on in. Jump on, jump on, jump on. I'm gonna tag a couple people because some people say they can't find it. So I'll tag a few folks. Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. I promise not to keep you all long. Hey. I need to get with you, Miss Foster. All right, it's 5:03, so I'm about to get started. So today, well, I guess I'm supposed to introduce myself, right? So I'm Monique. Hi, everybody. And I just want to chat with you all a little bit about accountability. And when I was doing research and like looking up the word accountability, it was, everything kind of was work related. Like, you're accountable to responsibilities for your job and different things. But I was like, we have an accountability for one another. We have an accountability to God. So I wanted to discuss that. I wanted to discuss a couple of people, because I always want to relate it to the scriptures, right? A couple of people and what happened when they chose not to operate in whatever level of accountability they had. So it was a ton of people. So I picked a few. The first one is Adam and Eve, right? So they had an accountability based on their choices. And that's even for us today. We are accountable for I remember telling Nadia, not remember because I still tell her, you are responsible for your decision making. And I would tell her that even when she was little, make sure you're able to live with the choices your decisions make for you. And that's all of us. I think that's what's wrong with the world today. People do not want to be accountable for their actions. Yes, I did this, however. No, you did it. There's now a consequence. And consequences can be good or bad. I always tell people I got the consequence of owning a baby mansion and student loans, but I got a degree, right? So consequences aren't necessarily always bad, but there are consequences to everything. Then there is David and Bathsheba. So with them, David decides he's gonna sleep with a married woman. She gets pregnant. He's like, okay, now I gotta figure out how to put this baby on your husband. Her husband was honorable, so he ends up killing her husband. And that accountability was caused him repentance. So accountability can also cause you to see where you messed up and now want to rectify the problem. Then we have Jonah. I guess I should be giving y'all scriptures. I didn't write down Bathsheba. It's second. So David and Bathsheba was second Samuel. I'll put it when I do the recap. I'll put the actual scripture. Adam and Eve is Genesis 3 and 9. And now we're at Jonah. Jonah is chapter 117. So he flees from God's instructions. And the reality is we can't escape accountability because God's will is ultimately going to always be done. So Jonah decides he's going to go a different route than what God tells him. He's not just a different route. I'm going to avoid completely what you tell me to do. And there were some consequences. There was the accountability that came. And so he had to spend 3 days in a fish's belly. Then we got Judas. Judas actually asked, what will you give me if I give Christ over to you? And so that's Matthew 26 verses 14 through 16. And you can also betray your accountability, because he had an accountability to Jesus. He was part of the crew. Like I'm one of the 12, and I'm going to turn my back on you for 30 pieces of silver. So there was an accountability that created a tragic consequence. And so then there's Moses. Moses hit the rock in Numbers 20 and 12. So when he hits the rock, now when God told him how to go to the rock, he didn't tell him to strike the rock, but he was so angry at the people because of all their murmuring and everything. So he hits the rock. So because he chose to do it his way and not stand under the direction, the accountability that God had given him, he couldn't enter the promised land. So his consequence ultimately he couldn't. So you got to wander all these years with these people that got on your nerves. So you're not about to escape the people. And then you got to train your successor to go to the place that you can't even go. So there was accountability there. Then there was Ananias and Sapphira. And they sold, this would be Acts chapter 5, verses 1 through 5. And he's accountable because they decided not to be honest. They had some land, they sold this land, and they decided we're going to lie about how much money we got for this land. But it was their money. It was up to them how much they wanted to give, but you lied about it. And so both of them just dropped dead. You know, they came in at separate times to give their account, not knowing that the one before you just gave the account and dropped dead Fred, right? So now he dead, you come in, now you about to drop dead Fred too, because you don't have integrity. So they decided not to be accountable to honesty and integrity. Then we have King Saul. Saul decides that he's not going to be uphold what God asked him to do. And this will be in 1 Samuel 15 22 through 23. Actually, this is my favorite scripture. Obedience is better than sacrifice. I have to repeat that to myself all the time because I want to do it Monique's way all the time. And I have to always remember, Lord, obedience is better than sacrifice. And so he decides, like I said, not to uphold. And so because he turns his back on what God asked him to do, God rejected him as the king. So and there's a direct connection because I keep saying consequence. So your accountability is connected to a consequence as well. And again, consequences don't always have to be bad. For every action, there's a reaction. So there's a wave, a flow of how this moves. So then we got Cain. And as we know, Cain kills his brother Abel because he's not able to manage his emotions. He's mad that God likes his offering over his brothers. So instead of trying to get it right and figure out how to please God, he was like, okay, I'm gonna just take you out. Bye. So we have to be able to be accountable for our action, for our emotions. And then there is Eli and his sons. Cain was Genesis 4 and 9. And then Eli is 1 Samuel 3 and 13. And God gives judgment to Eli and his family forever, it says. And that was because Eli did not discipline his children. He knew his children was running amok. They was doing whatever they wanted to do, and he wasn't disciplining them. And so because he chose not to discipline them, God made it, and it wasn't even Eli that had done anything wrong. It was truly his children. And so he judged them forever, it says. So we have a responsibility and accountability for righteousness and justice. We have to make sure that we're standing firm in that as well. And then I ended with Job. Job, even though it said, whenever I have my moment with God, I always say my Job moment, because Job would even make sacrifices, and because he said, I'm going to just make sacrifices for my children because I don't know, they might be over there doing some stuff. And so I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to pray for everybody. I'm going to make sure everybody in my household good. And he still had to suffer for some things he didn't do. It was just really God was testing him. He told, when Satan was going to and fro, he said, God asked him, what you doing? He said, I'm just trying to figure out whom I can devour. And he said, did you try my servant Job? And so he was like, it's just because you got your hand of protection over him. He was like, you can do whatever you want to, but you can't kill him. So even in the midst of all the Hades that we may have going on, God still is in control of it. He still will hold us and keep us if we choose to be held and kept. Now we have a responsibility as well. And that's the one thing I can say. When Job's wife was like, just curse him and die, he was like, you crazy. How can I take the good from God and not be willing to receive the bad? And so we have to be willing to be accountable for our consequences, whatever those consequences are. Like I said, consequences, circumstances, they all of it goes hand in hand. And we just have to be willing to put it in and trust that all things work together. And so we have, now I want to point out, we have, like I said, accountability. I feel like it's 3 areas of accountability. I wanted to point out those people, and then there's 3 areas of accountability. We have the accountability to God, which is, if we look at Romans 14, I had pulled stuff up, but for whatever reason, it shut on down. Oh, shoot, darn heck. Would you come on? And so if we go to Romans, here we go. Sorry, y'all. Romans 14 and 12. And so it says, so then each of us will give an account of ourselves to God. So we have an accountability for everything we do with these hands. Everything we touch, everything we think, everything we do, we're going to be accountable for. I was actually just talking to a friend, and maybe somebody can even point this out, because I was like, we talk about things going into the lake of forgetfulness, and I'm like, so if God has forgiven me of something, is it going to come back up on the day of judgment, Lord? Am I going to have to relive? Like, I got to stand before you and say, I did that, Lord. I know that Jesus is going to cover it all, but, I don't even want to hear it again. Like, I don't even want to hear what I did. Like, But if I don't want to hear it, then I don't want to do it either. So I got to make sure that I'm trying to get this thing right. We also have Hebrews 4 and 13. It says, nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give an account. So we gonna give an account. We are truly gonna give an account. We think that we nickel slick. Not even. Your nickel ain't slick enough for God. He done seen it. And so then there's the accountability to self. And that is Psalms 139. Psalms 139, 23 and 24 says, Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Oh, Lord, I struggle with that. See if there is any offense in me and lead me in the way everlasting. And so as we are accountable to ourselves, we need to be true to ourselves. Y'all know, if you truly know me, you know I love music and I relate everything to a song. And the song Kelly Price made, You Should Have Told Me. And I think about that song because sometimes it's a verse in that song that said, I never thought about it that way. You should, I never thought about it that way. And then she also says, because I was in my own world thinking I was a perfect lady. And, excuse me, and even though she's talking about her relationship with this man, sometimes in our own feeble mind, we think we are right. But we can have it so wrong. You can be walking around here with two left shoes. But if nobody ever tells you that two left shoes is wrong, then you will never know. So that's why I always pray, Lord, reveal me to me. Because I don't want to be out here doing it all the way backwards. We got scriptures that tell us, I remember I was so scared as a kid when it would say, get away from me. They like, Lord, well, didn't I prophesy in your name? And didn't I do all these things? He's like, get away from me. So it's going to be some folks that really think that they in like fleeing with Jesus. And he's going to be like, I don't know you. I don't know you. You wasn't doing this. You weren't doing this for me. I don't know who you was doing it for. Yeah, you was doing it in my name, but get away from me. I don't know you. So we got to make sure that we are, and you got to get you some friends. You got to get that iron sharpen iron friends. I got some friends. Sometimes they tell me too much about myself. I'll be like, Lord, can't they? But I appreciate it because don't smile me to hell. And I'm thinking I'm over here doing it right. And I got it all the way plumb wrong. And then we have a responsibility and accountability to one another. And that's 1 Corinthians 12, verses 12 through 18. And it says, just as the body, though one has many parts, but all of it Lord, y'all see I ain't got my glasses on and they not even in here. Okay, let me start over. Just as the body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body. So is it with Christ. For we were all baptized one spirit, so that as to form one body, whether Jew or Gentile, slave or free, we were all given one spirit to drink. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but many. Now, if the foot says, because I'm not the hand, I don't belong to the body, it would not, for the reason, stop being part of the body. And if the ear says, because I'm not the eye, I do not belong to the body, it would not, for that reason, stop being part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where could the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where could the sense of smell be? But in fact, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. So we all have a responsibility for one another. We all have a responsibility, and our roles are different. They are so different. And even though I can sing, and y'all know I can't sing, but even though I can sing, but you can do something else. I was just at a friend's house and they're getting their house decorated, and I was like, this is so not my talent. This not my talent. Lord have mercy. I can't put no colors together. But I can bake a cake. I can get you some cupcakes. I can make you a cheesecake. So we have to learn how to, but within that, operate, and let's be a cohesive unit. It's not about, don't be like Cain and be mad because your gift appears to be better than mine. We all have a function, and we all should be functioning together to make this thing called life work, to be out here spreading the gospel, to be out here doing whatever it is. And even if you can't get online and do this, y'all see I fumble, I don't have glasses, I'm stumbling over the words. To God be the glory. He gonna get it. Somebody gonna get the increase. At least I pray that's how it is. And I always ask God to decrease me so that he can increase. And so I just wanted to leave y'all with accountability. We have 3 accountabilities. We have an accountability to God, we have an accountability to self, and we have an accountability to others. And we need to make sure that we are being accountable and not like these folks that I already went through. And make sure that when we are being accountable, that we're not missing the mark or not being accountable at all. Because in the examples that I gave, in some way, shape, or form, even though they were amazing people, David was a man after God's own heart, but he had some struggles. Moses was amazing. He led some people I ain't about to lead you to across the street if I can't get to where I'm going to go. So I'm happy God ain't, he don't have me being sojourner truth out here. I'm so grateful, because I wouldn't be taking you to the promised land. I wouldn't be taking you to freedom. I wouldn't be doing none of that. So I'm happy he know who I am, and he done made me the ear, the foot, the hand, whatever part I am. And sometimes your parts change. As you grow, as you're needed, you may change. And we got to be able to also be adaptable. So that's it, y'all. I hope you got something from it. And I'll talk to y'all next week. Lord's will. See y'all later. Bye.